Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Faster Insights with the Enhanced Elastic Integration on Microsoft Azure. Before we start, we have a few quick things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We ask that you be kind and respectful to everyone, including our speakers. We want the reactors to be a place everyone feels welcome. Please ask questions using the live YouTube chat. In the chat, I'll also be sharing some links to the Reactor Meetup page and monthly newsletter if you're interested in checking out what other sessions we have coming up. If you haven't already, please check in using our event check-in at aka.ms/reactor check-in, and today's event ID is 14239. I will also be putting links to this in the chat. We will be adding today's session to our Reactor YouTube in 24 to 48 hours. And finally, I will share a link to our Reactor survey. If you have a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your feedback. I am now going to pass it over to Hemant.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining this session today. My name is Hemant. I am Partner Solutions Architect at Elastic, dedicated to Azure users. And my day-to-day is very much like today, helping and making Azure users more comfortable with Elastic and realize more value with it on Azure. With me, I also have Rohit from Microsoft joining us. Rohit, would you be kind to introduce yourself?
I'm Rohit Tadachar. I'm the product owner for the Azure Elastic integration. Really happy to see how our original vision has transformed into this offering, and happy to be here to share our experiences. Thanks, Hemant.
Thank you, Rohit. Yeah, so before we dive into the native integration and what Rohit and team has been working on for over a year now to produce what they have, I just wanted to take a quick step back and not assume that everyone here knows what Elastic is or what we do. Elasticsearch, Elk-Stack, if some of those names you're more familiar with, we are the company behind those open and free products. We started as a search engine, and even though we power 90% of the search bars on the internet, as per Forbes' recent article, I just wanted to take a minute to get people familiarized with what exists around Elastic. So at Elastic, we go to our users and customers with three solutions: enterprise search, observability, and security. All of these solutions are based on the same unified Elastic stack. So what you use for making those Yelp-like search experiences available to your customers or to your teams is also the platform that companies like eBay use to keep a tab on how their systems are doing, the observability aspect of the business. Security is another use case where a lot of the users who are getting data for observability needs also realize that there is an overlap of the data sources for security teams. So the SecOps teams leverage Elastic and the security solution powered by Elasticstack to address those needs. What this translates into and where users tend to gain value from Elastic, it's the same stack and same skills that then people end up using. This one platform gets used across multiple teams. So knowledge workers, DevOps, and security teams leverage the same stack powered by Elastic technology underneath. And then they end up using it for based on knowledge workers are looking to find information to be more effective when they come to work. As an example, when I come to work, I go to OneDrive, I have different content sources, I spend a lot of time in GitHub. So the enterprise search helps knowledge workers to get that information efficiently and quickly. The DevOps teams leverage the observability solution to stay ahead of the issues and reduce their mean time to resolve for the issues that are happening. And security teams leverage the same platform for observing and protecting their assets. So the different teams get to solve different problems leveraging the same technology. And at the same time, it gives them this unique differentiated opportunity to cross-pollinate and learn from each other. The first step, as is with everything, is to get Elastic going on Azure. And we have always led with there are unique needs of different users. And based on those needs, they would have a preferred way of deploying a technology into Azure ecosystem. So this is where the partnership really aligns, embracing the needs of the users and providing them options that are backed by the partnership. So the general control to productivity that you see at the top, depending on the needs, if there are a lot of needs that are being driven by the control, there are options. But today we are going to focus more on the option that provides the most productivity and makes it easiest to get started with Elastic on Azure. So on the right-hand side that you see here, this is our managed service available in 12 Azure regions. It goes by Elastic Cloud. That's the service that we manage on Azure in partnership with Azure. The native integration that we are going to spend more time on, it focuses on this aspect. So it sort of takes this highly productive offering for the users to deploy Elastic and realize value from it and makes it even better. This is where, Rohit, I would love for you to give all of us an overview, since you've been with this process for the longest time than anyone else on this call, to just help us understand what led us to this and what are we doing for that integration.
Definitely. Thank you, Hemant. So taking us back a year plus in our journey, we built this integration to really fulfill our vision of providing a delightful and powerful experience of some of the most used and loved partner offerings on Azure, with Elastic being high up on that list. Now, delighting our customers is a core philosophy of both Microsoft and Elastic. And one of the first steps to achieve this was via building the seamless integration of the Elastic offering on Azure. So now we've consistently heard a theme from our customers for the ability to easily create and manage this Elastic service that Hemant just mentioned on Azure without really having to go around between the Azure portal, the Elastic Cloud, and Marketplace. So with this integration, we enabled that seamless and Azure native deployment of the managed Elastic offering from the Azure portal directly. Now, extending on this, we've also addressed the request for a unified experience between Azure and the Elastic Cloud via some kind of a single sign-on experience that complements the features being developed both on the Azure Cloud and on the Elastic Cloud. Now, this brings us to another core customer request around logs management for the Azure resources via Elastic. Now, to achieve this, we went a step ahead and we enabled the mechanism to send Azure logs directly to Elastic and plug them into a Kibana dashboard, which enables an out-of-box experience to view and manage these logs. Now, this is a very powerful experience as it not only simplifies the steps required to set up and manage the logs for all of the Azure resources, but it allows for seamless visualization of those logs and metrics. And finally, coming to another top ask from our customers is around security and how do you enable secure connectivity between a customer's virtual network and Elastic's VNet. This is now achieved via a private link integration that allows for the seamless communication between the two virtual networks with the traffic never leaving the Azure's backbone. Extending on these experiences, we hope to continue our build together efforts with Elastic and offer other kind of seamless integrations for the other end-to-end scenarios, which will be coming here in the near future. Hemant, back to you to kind of walk us through some of the experiences that we just discussed here.
Perfect. Thank you, Rohit. Yeah, so I'm going to directly jump into a demo after this slide because I strongly believe a demo is worth 1,000 slides or less. But so the native integration, as Rohit explained, excuse me, as Rohit mentioned, it focuses on three aspects on how we can make the experience of Elastic on Azure users better. One is the discovery. How do they find Elastic? How do they work with it? The second is lifecycle management. Once they have found Elastic in Azure ecosystem, how do they deploy it? How do they make changes to it, like configuration changes, like Rohit mentioned, on securing the private link connectivity and things of that sort. So that's another aspect of this integration. The third one, it focuses on the data onboarding. Not only this integration helps users deploy Elastic or provision Elastic on Azure easily, it also goes a step ahead, which is, what's your day two? Day two is always involved with the data sources that are of interest to you based on those 3 solution areas that I highlighted earlier. You may want to onboard some data, and that's where this integration goes a step ahead and tries to minimize the overhead on the users on how they would get that data and solves that problem for them. Let me quickly change into my browser. Rohit, can you confirm if you're seeing my Azure portal?
I can.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm in my Azure portal, and I'm seeing there is an Elastic deployment that has a very native look and feel to how you would see any other Azure resource and work with it. So this is a deployment that was created leveraging the native integration. So let me go take a step back and start walking you through how we got to the point where we are, which is I have an Elastic deployment that I can work with, take actions on. So a user's journey in Azure portal might start trying to find a piece of technology or a service that they are really after. I start typing in Elastic, and I see Elasticsearch available in the search results. I pick that one up. I can create an Elastic deployment from the Azure portal. And again, this would look very familiar and native to Azure users, because this is a very common workflow of how you would deploy any other Azure resource. I can pick up a resource group. I can give it a name. I can pick up one of the 12 regions that are available and enabled by this native integration as well. And this is where the next step is, where we start getting into the third aspect of data onboarding. So I'm deploying Elastic right now, but at the same time, during the workflow, I can also start making decisions and choices. What data sources would I want to be onboarded onto this Elastic deployment? So this is where the integration solves a lot of the overhead that previously existed from the users, where they would have to deploy the log collection or this data collection software bits and in supporting infrastructure and manage it. This is where in the integration, I can easily click on checkboxes, then leverage the tag strategy to really hone down into specific data sources that I'm interested in. And at this point, I would just go ahead and give it a creation. And I'm not going to wait for the whole creation. It takes a couple of minutes, but this is where I will jump back to the deployment that I already have to start showing you, once this is deployed, what gets available to the users to work with it. I still wanted to highlight this deployment is for Elastic Cloud and Managed Service, but as you would notice from this experience, I'm still in Azure portal doing all this and creating the Elastic Cloud deployment without ever having to leave the Azure portal. So this is a significant improvement for the users in terms of experience in working with Elastic-on-Azure. So let me go back to the deployment that I already have had running for a while. So this is where it's giving me some details of the latest version of Elastic that got deployed, the resources associated with it. And then I can always switch back into, as I would show shortly, I can get into, like, once the data starts flowing in, obviously the next step starts, which is start analyzing it and get value from it. So this is where the single sign-on and security is all seamlessly built into native integration. So even at times when you are going between Elastic Cloud or Kibana, that's the end user's window into the data, or Azure portal, your experience is pretty seamless. So let me quickly get into another aspect of this integration, which is a VM extension. What this helps me do is I can pick up the different virtual machines that I may be interested in sending the data from. So this data could be logs and metrics. I could be using it for observability use cases or security use cases. It's as easy as picking up the virtual machine resource that you're interested in to get the data from, install the extension. And once it's done, the view would look like something like the other rows that you're seeing here, where it's already installed. And I can quickly go in and take a look at how the metrics look like for a specific virtual machine from here. So let me quickly show. So I talked about logs, how the logs can be onboarded. I talked about how the virtual machines helps logs and metrics from the virtual machines get onboarded. Let me quickly walk you through what that experience looks like on the other side. So for logs and metrics, as I mentioned earlier, I'm sending in activity logs and platform logs into this Elastic deployment using the native integration. So this is the Kibana that I've already opened up on the side. And as I mentioned earlier, the data that's now in Elastic, it can be leveraged depending on the needs for enterprise search use cases, observability use cases, or security use cases. Let's quickly go to Discover. So this is an application within Kibana where I can take a look at all these log sources that have been flowing in from Azure platform using the native integration. This is where I can start, either put that metaphorical search box onto all these logs. And as soon as I clicked on the search box, you can see that Kibana is helping me formulate my query that will help me slice and dice these logs that are coming in. The real value starts to kick in more when you start visualizing this. And that's, again, there is a lot of flexibility in how you end up getting this data. Let me go back a little further in time to have some more meaningful data. Anyways, so this is essentially where the logs are flowing, and now I can start visualizing on top of it. Let me go back to again to the virtual machines bit, because I wanted to show what that experience looks like once I'm using the native integration to send this data into Elastic deployment. So I just clicked on metrics, and you would notice that it is taking me now into Kibana, but it's also doing that seamless single sign-on as part of the native integration. And once it takes me to Kibana, these are out-of-the-box visualizations and dashboards that are supported by this integration. So not only I'm sending in the data, leveraging the integration, there is also the next step, which is making this experience a lot more turnkey for the users. The native integration goes a step beyond, and I have on my screen an Azure Spring Cloud service that I'm leveraging, and the native integration also supports this service as a default out-of-the-box data source for the integration. What users can do quickly and easily leverage the diagnostic settings, pick up the type of logs that they are interested in, and send it to the Elastic that I just have deployed here. So I can pick up the Elastic deployments created by native integration and start streaming my logs from Azure Spring Cloud into them. As I mentioned earlier, there is always the step 2, which is now I have Azure Spring Cloud logs into Elastic. What can I do with them? We took a step further and also created the dashboards that are built on top of this data or the logs that we just collected using the native integration. So this becomes that turnkey starting point for users to get an understanding of how their services are doing, what kind of activity has been happening on them. But this also serves as that starter template that users can take upon and build upon depending on how they want to visualize and present this data further. As you start sending in all these different logs, I mentioned Azure Spring Cloud logs, the platform logs and activity logs that are supported. There is also this aspect of learning from the behavior of those logs within Elastic, the machine learning powered anomaly detection. So I can easily get into just look at my logs that are coming in, and I can click on the anomalies. So what this anomaly detection does, as I started getting these log sources from Azure into Elastic using the native integration, I went ahead and turned this on where it would start learning from the behavior. And what it gives me is it's looking at the different log types that are being sent. And over time, it decides based on the amount of logs and how often the logs are sent, if they ever deviate from the normal. If they ever deviate from the normal, that's where you would get flagged as something abnormal is happening here. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at it? And this really augments the capabilities of alerting, where you have to think through the different type of thresholds where you would want to alert on. This anomaly detection augments that capability and makes it easier to tackle for users when you have these different type of logs coming in and you want to learn from that behavior. This capability enables that. So I just quickly showed you how you can leverage the native integrations to send in your platform logs and activity logs with easy checkboxes into Elastic. We looked at the metrics that could be flowing in, or the logs that could be flowing in from your virtual machines, leveraging the VM extension, also powered by native integration. And third, I just quickly showed you an example of a specific service on Azure Spring Cloud, where you get an end-to-end experience with it by sending the logs and then also looking at the dashboards and visualizations that are turned on by default. I concluded with machine learning and anomaly detection capabilities in the Elastic that can be leveraged and used for all these different data sources that you have started streaming in, leveraging the native integration. The last bit that I wanted to get into was more around the configurations and what Rohit was earlier alluding to, that the integration goes beyond just the deployment of it or the data onboarding. We are also enabling users to make configuration changes to the Elastic deployment, something as critical as where users are trying to establish the private link connectivity, which, by the way, is a very popular feature that gets asked. And when I'm deploying Elastic on Azure, how can I limit how my data travels to it? And this is where the integration also supports private link. I don't have anything configured here that can be leveraged, but if I did, I can easily pick it up and apply and integrate it with the Elastic deployment that we are seeing. So this is, in terms of the demo, that's what I wanted to quickly walk through and also just show folks how it can be leveraged to deploy Elastic, send data into Elastic, and then also realize the value of it from the dashboards and Kibana standpoint. Rohit, anything else that you would want me to focus on or highlight in what we are doing with the native integration?
No, I think you did a great job summarizing the overall integration. I just want to add that these are some of the top asks that have come from our customers so far. So our goal is to enable those asks, and we'll keep working on this. This is not a job done. We'll keep working on implementing more integrations, more end-to-end experiences, and hopefully we'll come back here again and talk to you about some of the future integrations that are currently in play. Thanks, Sam.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to conclude, as I said earlier, where users find a lot of value in Elastic is it becomes that unified data store where I might be collecting my logs and metrics for my observability use cases, operational use cases, but then I can also apply different lenses to it. And I just wanted to show a quick example of that. So I am capturing the logs from Azure, leveraging the native integration, and I've been looking at them from very operational lens so far. I can change my lens quickly just going into the security workflow applications within Kibana. And if I go in here, this is a tailored workflow for the security users, which is where all the events that were captured for observability use case are also very relevant. So this is the power of the common data model. Like irrespective of where you're collecting the data from into Elastic, we adhere with this common data model that lets user realize this value, like cross-pollinate across different teams and for different use cases. So I can quickly, since I'm collecting logs from the virtual machines on Azure using the VM extension, I can quickly go to the host view and it will start showing me this view that's more tailored for security folks. So same logs that I can leverage for observability and monitoring those virtual machines. This view provides a security analyst a quick view into how those 17 hosts have been doing. And obviously user authentications is something that always sits on top of mine, and that's why that it sits on top of this view as well. So yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to cover in this demo. I wanted to conclude with this is the starting point, but that's not where we are stopping. So Rohit and team would continue to iterate and keep investing into these engineering efforts that have going on so far. So some of the things that we are focusing on, like how I showed you Azure Spring Cloud end-to-end experience, that's definitely a focus area for this integration to go next. We already have identified some services that we are focusing on to provide the same experience. The integration with Azure's identity management, we will continue to find use cases and evolve it further. So that seamless experience that you saw between Azure Portal and Kibana and Elastic Cloud, that continues to evolve. We are also very interested in hearing your feedback. So here is a short link to provide us feedback on what we have done so far in the native integration and what we are planning to do. And if you are missing anything obvious that's on top of your mind, we would love to know that. With that, Dion, that concludes the content that we had for this quick session.
Thank you so much. I think we can give it a couple moments to see if some questions come in. I did share a link to the Elastic-on conference that is coming up. Is there anything that you want to mention about that conference and what people can expect there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So at Elastic-on, as you would imagine, that's our annual user conference. We are doing a lot of sessions that are focused on this native integration and the ecosystem around it, whether it's how to use it, or there is a hands-on workshop that's happening where we will be talking about how that, I focus more on observability and security in this demo, but that's a hands-on experience for people to know how they can leverage same Elastic that got deployed using the native integration for searching on the content from their SharePoint Online or OneDrive data sources in Azure as well. So I'm hoping we would see some of you who have joined us today in those sessions as well. There is a lot that we are going to share during the 3 days conference, virtual conference.
And just to add to what Hemant mentioned about Elastic-on, I think the Scott Guthrie, our EVP of Azure Cloud, will be joining Shai Bannon, Elastic CEO, as part of the keynote session, where they'll also go into details of this integration. So hope you all can join that session too.
Great. And we did get one question that just came in. So it says, are there full GitHub examples of how to send logs to ES?
Definitely, there are examples, and I just wanted to make sure that they are in context of the native integration or outside the native integration. Either way, there are examples that can be shared. I don't know what's the best way to follow up, Dion, but I can follow up with the content.
Yeah, we can put some links in the description that will go along with the recording on the Reactor YouTube channel. So we can definitely do that.
Yeah. And I can also actually quickly just do, you can do that. We will do that. There is also this place, elastic.co/integrations. And this is another quick and easy way for users to understand, depending on what's their data source of interest, what would it take to get the data into Elastic. Keep in mind, native integration is trying to solve a lot of that, so you don't have to do this. But if you are still interested in understanding it, I can pick up Azure here, and depending on what's of interest to me as a data source, I can go on it, and this is where it would just walk me through how can I onboard that data into Elastic. Like Rohit, and my answer is use native integrations. So you don't have to do this, but yeah, elastic.co/integrations.
Perfect. And it looks like the person did follow up that it was outside native is what they were.
Okay, yeah. So that elastic.co/integrations, that's a good place to start.
Perfect. And then another question came in. How do we monitor Azure App Services?
Yeah, that's a good one. So in the public preview, until as we go to the GA with the service, that service has been on top of a lot of users' mind as they were testing that out, and it is one of the Next, services, as I mentioned, deeper integration with Azure services is the next item. So app services is on top of mind to provide you that end-to-end experience. So you can still leverage the diagnostic settings and send the logs, but the kind of experience we showed you with Azure Spring Cloud, that's what we are working on. So we'll pick up those logs from app services and then also create a turnkey experience on top of them in Kibana. Rohit, anything that you wanted to add to that specific one?
No, so for app services, we're imagining the experience would be very similar to the other compute, the virtual machines. You'd have a similar mechanism of integration where you'd see all of your logs or metrics that's originating from your app service to be managed directly from our portal, similar to what's available today for virtual machines, and the end-to-end piece along with the Kibana visualizations would be made available as part of our next release.
All right, great. Thank you both so much. It looks like that's it for questions. Anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up today?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for listening to us and joining this session.
Yep. Thank you for your time, and hope to see you all at Elastic-on.
Yes, thank you both so much for today. This was awesome. And we've shared some links in the YouTube chat for to sign up for our newsletter or our meetup page, and then also for Elastic-on. So if you are interested in other sessions, please check those out, and hopefully we will see you all again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.